You were considered a pretty big time drug dealer, weren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were bringing a lot of drugs into the community. That's
The rifle with the extended magazine and the pistol with the extended magazine, what was that used for?
Head through a field now. He's gonna bail him. He's bailing him. He's got all right, it's a black male with a red shirt on. Pursuit. Already running into a house.
The troopers lost track of Byron, but did a quick search of his truck. And in the search of the truck, the trooper located approximately 4 ounces of heroin, valued at $28,600, approximately 1/4 ounce of fentanyl powder, 74 hydrocodone pills, 1 ounce of marijuana, and $4,727 in U.S. currency. And also, a loaded handgun was found in the vehicle.
What how many units near 90 and 24?
C41.
Copy fire.
Go ahead.
Bravo. Cool. I'm not by the house anymore.
10-4.
C37 Richard 2. We're code 4 out here.
10-4.
Shit.
C54 Richard 2.
C54.
I want to contact narcotics and get him out here. Got a large sum of cash, a lot of narcotics in his vehicle.
Byron was positively identified as the driver, and the state troopers obtained a warrant for his arrest. The next day, on May 6, 2018, Byron was arrested by the Homer Police Department on unrelated narcotics charges. Byron was charged with 2 counts of possession with intent to distribute, possession of marijuana, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of a firearm in the presence of narcotics, transactions involving drug proceeds, aggravated flight from an officer, and reckless operation of a vehicle.
And 4 years later, we're going to watch the parole hearing of this big time dealer. And I want to give a big shout out to State Boys Louisiana YouTube channel. I'm going to leave a link in the description for the channel below if you want to check out the entire 13-minute and 8-second body cam footage of this arrest. And of course, a big shout out to Sir Richard for remembering somehow that he saw this body cam footage, okay, of this man who has a different name because there's an alias. So it wasn't a Google search. Sir Richard actually saw this footage a year ago and connected the dots. So that's a different kind of brain for you. Anyways, let's watch this parole hearing and I'll unpack it at the end.
Hello, my name is Byron William Nevis. My DOC number is 006277 00620277.
That's what I got. Okay, good. Thank you. Let me acknowledge Mr. Navis, those people who have joined us today. Well, first we have counsel. I'd like to ask your counsel to introduce himself for the record.
Thank you. Good morning. Roger Jordan for Brian Nevis, who's present on Zoom. And thank you for the parole hearing today.
Sir, and Mr. Jordan, after we hear from everybody that wishes to speak, we'll ask you to close it out for us. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
A statement you'd like to make.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We have Trina Tyler, Tiara Tyler, Raven Nevis, Jasmine Nevis, and Latoya Nevis. And Miss Latoya and Miss Trina want to speak, and at the appropriate time, we'll call on them to do so. First of all, Mr. Nevis, your case has been assigned to Mrs. Ledoux, but before we start our interview questions, we'd like to hear from you first. What led you to jail? Why are you in jail? And why do you think we ought to grant you parole today?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I would like to thank all 5 members of this board for granting me and giving me this opportunity to be here. And I just like to say the man I was before I stepped in them doors, I changed. I'm a changed man. I know I had to do that to change for my family, for my kids most of all, but I had to do it for myself to change for them. You know, I had to discipline myself and come a long way with all these 5 years. You know, it broke me down, but it built me back up at the same time. And I'm very thankful for that. Because without this situation, I probably ain't no telling where I'd be. I'd probably be dead or anything. So I'm very thankful for this situation and the experience that I learned to become a better man and changed man from what I was before and to who I am now. And you know, I've been working. I started out as a deckhand, now I'm an engineer. So with that experience, you know, I come a long way within the multi-tags. So my task is, you know, is just to take care of the engine room upon my vessel and to train other deckhands as they come along too. So, and I just like, you know, I just like to show when I do get granted parole, I like to show society, you know, that I'm capable to live in society and around, you know, other people that I'm able to do this. And I know I'm more than able, and I'm proud to say that I'm able. I came a long way, and I disciplined myself a lot. And I'd like to thank y'all for this.
All right, and let me just read some identifiers into the record, Mr. Nevis. You are classified as a 4th felony offender, currently serving a 20-year sentence. You were sentenced in Terrebonne Parish. You have a 2019, you were sentenced in Terrebonne for possession with intent to distribute heroin. You received an 8-year sentence that was revoked in April of 2021 because you were on probation. Then in April of 2021, possession with intent to distribute heroin, attempted possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and aggravated flight from an officer.
Yes, ma'am.
Parole eligibility date, August 11, 2024, and your good time mandatory release date is August 16, 2025. So that's
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
okay, good, thank you. So before we start with our interview, we'd like to hear from your supporters. Could we first hear from Latoya Nevis?
To be able to be paroled out early.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Tyler. We appreciate you. Sharon. Ms. Ledoux. Hear from his attorney.
Are you currently in work release, Mr. Nevis?
Yes, ma'am.
And I read the letters from the various members of the crew where you work. They were very complimentary of your work and indicate you're doing a great job. How much approximately do you make? How much do you have in bank right now?
I have 61,000 saved up, and all those guys that complimented me, they family to me. They family. Everybody upon there is family, and upon my release, you know, that's my home. That's my job, so I can support my family, my kids. You know, and I'm very thankful for this. I thank God that I'm stable enough to get out and take care of my kids because they need me right now. They need me, and I'm thankful for
it. You were considered a pretty big time drug dealer, weren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were bringing a lot of drugs into the community. How do you feel about the impact of selling drugs in society? What are the impacts? Do you have any understanding of what that does to the society?
Yes, ma'am. I feel that's a big impact and a lot of wrong that I did, and I take full responsibility of it, you know, and I shouldn't have done it. But that man I was, I'm no longer him. You know, I'm gonna keep working my job and just support my family.
I don't have any other questions. I'm glad you have made some money. I'm glad you have found a place where you can be productive. And it sounds like you're on the right track.
Thanks,
Question.
I got a question.
Okay, Mr. Bowman.
sir.
The rifle with the extended magazine and the pistol with the extended magazine, what was that used for?
It was just something I was just caught in at the time, like I said, and you know, I ain't gonna blame nothing on nobody. I take full responsibility for my action. That's who I was. That's not who I am today. And that's not me no more. It just crazy things that was going on at that time, and I take full responsibility for it. Something I shouldn't have done. I had.
Question.
Mr. Byron, were you using drugs?
No, sir.
You never used drugs?
No, sir.
You were just selling them?
Yes, sir.
I heard you say earlier you were a changed person. And I have in my mind there, if you change, you have to not look like a drug dealer. You know, a certain way drug dealers look.
Yes, sir.
I've seen how some drug dealers look. So when you change, and if you change, and especially for your kids, you have kids? How many kids do you have?
Yes, I have 5 kids.
5 kids?
Yes, sir.
Most parents want their kids to follow in their footsteps, business-wise or fireman or whatever. You wouldn't want your kids to do that, would you?
No, sir.
Okay, so you're gonna look like a changed person, would you say?
Yes, sir.
That's good. I have no questions.
So you mentioned there were some crazy things going on. What do you mean by that?
I mean, just my surroundings, my environment, just the life I was living, the person I was.
You were on probation at the time this crime was committed?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been in jail?
5 years, ma'am.
So you've served about 25% of your sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you mentioned what you have in your savings account. Have you been able to send money home
Yes, ma'am.
on a regular basis?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm pleased to hear that. For the record, there is opposition from law enforcement and district attorney's office to any consideration for early release for you. You need to be aware of that. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan, you want to close it out for us?
Yes, please. And thanks again for the opportunity to present, make a presentation on behalf of Byron. You know, as you could hear from his family and from Byron too, he's missed a lot of his life. So what happens, and he takes full responsibility for missing that part of his life, the loss of his loved ones. You can see in his mother's eyes, she misses him every day and needs him, his wife and his children. And he's got a strong connection to them, which I think is going to make him a strong individual when he gets out. I know it is. But a second thing that I think you've indicated from the letters that you've read, he's been on work release. And something that is also interesting, I know having been a prosecutor and now criminal defense attorney, something that's been interesting about his 5 years of incarceration is no disciplinary infractions. You know, he talks about how he was broken down and then built himself back up as a man. And part of that is the responsibility of work in his family. And he's done that. And what's most telling is that besides not having disciplinary infractions. He's had his 3 supervisors, his immediate supervisors, the captains of his boat, all 3 write glowing recommendations for him. And the moment he gets parole, he's got a job. And that, I think, is the strongest thing, or besides the family, for him to weight himself with to do better in life. His accomplishments, I think, speak to who he is. It also speaks to how the system can work. And he's an example of someone who was in a different place, and he's been made a different person. I hate to say it like this, but because of incarceration, the opportunities that the Department of Corrections have presented to him, allowing him to have work release, allowing him to have these classes that he took to become a better person. With that, I know that you're not going to be regretful for granting him parole if you see it in your hearts and minds to do that. And thank you again for allowing me to speak and allowing his family to speak.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. All right, I don't see any other questions, so.
I have another one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What was the amount that he saved up?
61.
61,000. 61 in 5 years. Okay.
All right, this panel.
Mr. Nevis, my vote is going to sound like I'm against you, but I'm not. My vote is going to be to deny. But because of your failed revocation history and everything, but you have the ability to stay in the workroom, continue doing what you're doing. You have the support around you, gives you a little extra time. And so my vote today, because of your history of revocation and because of the your past criminal record, my vote is to deny. Mr. Freeman.
My vote is also to deny, basically, due to your criminal history. Your criminal history is pretty bad. A lot of drugs involved and guns. And you've only served 5 years of a 20-year sentence. You got 1 more year to serve. You're doing a terrific job. You're saving money. You got a good job. But at this time, I just think that at some point, being a 4th offender, that, you need to serve 1 more year.
Mr. Barra.
I'm going to concur with Mr. Freeman for the same reasons.
And Mr. Tillis.
I think, Byron, you've changed your life around, and it seems like the people you've worked with have spoke highly of you. I really hope that you've changed, and I hope that if you get out, you'll look like a changed person. My vote is to grant.
All right, and Mr. Williams, I agree with your attorney. I think you have a good record since your incarceration without any write-ups. You've been given a special opportunity with your job and maybe develop a career for yourself. But as I mentioned, there was opposition by the district attorney's office and law enforcement. And based on the fact that you were on probation at the time of this offense, you are a 4th felony offender, and the proximity of your good time mandatory release date, my vote today is to deny you parole. So you've gotten 1 favorable vote, but 4 that were not favorable. So the outcome today, Mr. Williams, is that your parole's been denied, sir. Good luck. Stay the course where you're on the right track.
Thank you.
That concludes our business in LaFouche. We're going to sign off at 11:21.
I'll tell you what, the truth in sentencing, that's all about this case. This man has such a long record. He's a fentanyl dealer. You know how I feel about, how I think all of us feel about fentanyl dealers, but he's got a rap sheet. He was accused of shooting his wife's brother in 2015, and he's out on bond after this, and then he only has to serve 5 years. And it's funny, I fast forwarded it, and I said family's going to be family, but the way that they were upset that he was denied, he's getting out in a year, and he's working. I'm not sure what his job is. I'm guessing it's on a boat or an oil rig or something, but he has $60,000 to the bank from working while in prison. What the hell did we just watch? Sometimes you see these things and you're just like, are you kidding me? How many of you watching this kind of could wish that you can get locked up and walk away with 60 grand in the bank? Now, work release, it's not, it's not as glorious. Well, I shouldn't say as glorious as it sounds, but I did, I've done a few hearings on this, and I'm not going to do it now, but I've, gone into the weeds on it. And the way, work release works is a pretty large chunk of the salary is paid to the jail for the housing. It's really a money-making scheme. And so, you are paying for your room and board when you're jailing. So it's less money on the taxpayer, I suppose. And I think work release is a wonderful program, as long as it's not taken away from jobs from unincarcerated. My understanding that it's not, and it's a good way to to get to become a productive member of society. So when you get out of prison, you don't need to go back to dealing. But this man, with his long record, and including, let's just go over this one. Sir Richard found in 2015, deputies are looking for a man accused of shooting his wife's brother during Mardi Gras. Is wanted in connection with the shooting. The victim injuries are not considered life-threatening. His name was not released. The shooting happened in Mobile East around 2:30 p.m. He's currently separated. Got into the argument. He added that the woman's brother showed up to help his sister. According to Larpenter, the two men got into the fight, and people around the time jumped in to break up. Larpenter said that the two could be separated, but the brother was shot in the stomach. And I guess this is just being accused of it. He was never charged with it. So, what can you do, right? He's obviously, I guess they assume he didn't do anything. But you look at the here's another. This is the 2018. I just don't care for people who are. Let's go to this one. Who do fentanyl? I just don't. And it was like it was just a weird parole hearing. And then Mr. Tillis, what is he saying? I just can't with Mr. Tillis. I really can't. You need to look different. If you're going to look different, then you're going to look different and be different. So what are you talking about? What are you even saying? I'm trying to make sense. It doesn't make any sense. And then he grants. Why would you grant? He's literally is getting out next year. He's been gone 4 years. He's working. He probably, for work release, the people who go on the boats, I think they'll spend like 1 weekend in jail every 3 months. Otherwise, they're not even seeing the inside of a jail cell. And you're getting paid. You're making money. You're not actually serving time, please. And it's like, I'll grant. Why? Why? Oh my God. Arrested for narcotics, search you $30,000. Police say committed a traffic violation. He was traveling south. Okay, so this is the video body cam that we saw. And again, if you want to see the full body cam footage, click the link below and you can watch it. They basically you see him going through the car and finding weapons and different narcotics and stuff. And it scares when you see that cop running after him in the dead of the night in the dark, and to see that he has these loaded weapons on him with maybe nothing to lose, that's just scary. Can you imagine being a lone cop, like how that stuff could have turned? Oh, here's another one. Oh, I'm trying to share it with you, but in 2019, right? So he was on bond when he got caught again. That's my understanding, because here's another one. Police suspected drug dealer jumps into bay to flee from troopers. So he's out on bond for what we saw. And then he goes here in this chase, a seatbelt violation. It's hilarious. These, like, you see dealers or anyone who's in trouble with the law, and they do stupid things that give police a reason to pull them over, like not wearing a seatbelt. Can you imagine if you have everything to lose, you won't put on a seatbelt? It's like, don't give a police officer the ability to a reason to search you. These ads, I can't take these. I'm not gonna share with you this page. I cannot take these ads. These websites are so they piss me off more than the judiciary system. I'm trying to click on this website and I can't. So many pop-ups. It's unreadable. They're so how. It's not. There's a reason there's a reason you're failing. If I can't successfully read that, I'm still trying to read it and I can't because of the pop-ups. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not gonna read you. You get the point. He has a lot of arrests, and that's it. That's it. I'm done. You know, like again, I'm a fentanyl dealer. With that, I'll let you go.
Let me get your opinion on this. Come see. No, I chased him. He bailed here. I chased him in my unit. Hey.
That looks like heroin.
2-0.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. Where you started?
We need narcotics.
Yeah. Which up there? 57?
I stopped him. He pulled into by the water district.
Okay.
I was following behind him, cross over the fog line, so he pulled into the water district. Go to call him out a couple times, he wouldn't get out. So I go to get in to get on my PA system. He takes off. So I chase him, and freaking D is on the radio.
Yeah.
So I chased him down. He circled around this way. He came up here, chasing through all those potholes. He bailed out here, and he started running. And he tripped up over here. I mean, I was right on his ass. I couldn't get my I was trying to call in on the radio, trying to get my taser. He came around, and as soon as he came around, that front door was freaking open to that house. So he ran in it. That door wouldn't have been open, I'd have had him.